I don't know about you, but I quite like the idea of slowing down aging. So this is my daily biohack, plus riding my bike to work and a bit of weight training. But there's a big jump from yogurt, berries and bikes to the booming world of biohacking, of peptides, infusions, calorie restrictions, supplements, cryotherapy and hyperbaric chambers. But what are the benefits? And what are the risks? And who's making money from all these promises? So just for you, I'm going to put my body on the line. This kit comes from a new Australian company that's selling biological age testing, ways of finding out whether your body is aging quickly or slowly. Just a little prick, as they say. They also offer a range of other tests and give you a supplement program tailored to your results. This is a journey that a growing number of Australians are on, but often alone and dislocated from the checks and balances of modern medicine. So what happens when the fear of aging meets the business of living longer? Let's find out.
Throughout the next couple of days, what we are going to do is make your cells in your body dance the salsa.
The idea of conquering death goes back a long way. 4,000 years ago, the Epic of Gilgamesh described a Mesopotamian king's search for the secret of eternal life. And while the search hasn't ended, we do seem to have entered a rather frenetic, if not desperate period, where the promises of eternal youth are everywhere. We're in New York at the Biohackers World Conference and Expo. People who are trying to beat biology, effectively experimenting on themselves. We asked the exhibitors what they were selling and what they claimed their products could do.
The heart does not produce enough pressure to push the blood through all the thousands of miles of capillaries in our body.
Blocked chi develops. And so when we can get everything flowing again.
How do I know if I've got blocked chi?
You know, numbness, tiredness, fog, brain fog, headaches, tingling fingers, all of that in a sense is oxygen, not flowing.
The red blood cells are twice the size of a capillary, so why don't they just stop it up like a cork?
Not only can we reduce inflammation in your joints, your shoulder, your hip, knee, but we can reduce inflammation in the brain.
What harm can I come to here?
No harm.
Well, I'm supposed to feel more relaxed. I'm just feeling a little bit more uptight.
My job is to find out what works as opposed to the BS out there.
And the Brown's gas helps the body heal from virtually every ailment known to mankind.
We have unique delivery systems like suppository, rectal delivery, nasal sprays, liposomals, eye drops.
That's why my crow's feet are pretty much gone.
So it says Kisspeptin here.
Yes.
What's Kisspeptin?
Kisspeptin is one for sexual wellness and libido.
I now look like I did 20 years ago. Okay, I'm almost 70.
Longevity is big business, with clinics opening around the world. Their natural home, though, is Los Angeles, long famous for its obsession with image and youth. Next Health is a chain of longevity clinics headquartered in West Hollywood, which have taken up several of the common biohacks.
Next Health is a health optimization and longevity center.
So is everybody who comes in here sick?
No, they're really not sick. They're actually pretty well, believe it or not.
Well, show me around what you offer.
Yes, absolutely. Those therapies start off with IV therapies.
So what's in the infusion?
Yeah, so it's a base of nutrients. So there's vitamin C, B vitamins, and then a lot of fluid as well. Now, NAD is another nutrient that we're giving to people as well.
The model is a familiar menu of extensive blood tests and add-ons, sometimes with a full-body MRI scan, then a tailored plan for you.
This is an incredible device. So this is called the Amortal Chamber. It combines...
Next Health's promises include the early detection of serious disease, recharging your mitochondria, clearing brain fog, and slowing the aging process.
And this is at a negative 140 degrees Fahrenheit, super cold. 2.5 minutes in here.
They also use invasive technologies like plasma exchange, essentially running your blood through a filter.
High cholesterol levels, reduce toxins in their blood.
Darshan Shah is a former surgeon who's Next Health's founder. So what supplements, infusions do you take?
So, you know, I'm not a big supplement pusher. I take some basic supplements, for example, vitamin D3, K2, omegas. I take a magnesium supplement. And beyond that, I do an IV infusion whenever I feel like I'm low energy. After traveling, for example, if I'm getting sick, I'll do some IV nutrients as well.
Who's the market for this?
The market is everybody, right? People are sick and tired of being sick and tired. What our promise there is that we will do everything possible to make your health span match your lifespan.
Let's just go through the evidence base here. For example, the American College of Cardiology and the Australian Equivalent College do not endorse full-body MRI.
It's just massively antiquated of a viewpoint, in my opinion. I've seen thousands of these, and I've seen so many people get diagnosed with something very clinically significant.
For a lot of what you do, there's very little evidence. They're not proven technologies. We asked Dr. Shah about research suggesting a role for NAD+ in cancer, creatine in the behavior of tumours, and how vitamin C in high doses intravenously turns from an antioxidant into a pro-oxidant. Does that sort of evidence worry you? Because you're giving a lot of that stuff here.
I think when you look at the evidence that's out there, and I know all the studies that you're referring to, they're isolated studies that don't match up to the massive body of evidence that we're looking at.
In Australia, a commercial longevity industry has emerged rapidly. Four Corners has identified nearly 100 operators, from clinics and biological age testing to IV drip bars and recovery studios. But in a universe divorced from the checks and balances of medicine, huge numbers of social influencers are promoting all kinds of biohacks, especially unapproved peptides, where their expertise appears to be solely based on having tried them themselves.
TikTok is the one that I have found is rife with places that you can go. All of these people are telling you how to take peptides.
Okay, I just got a delivery, so we're going to open it together.
This is a classic social media unboxing, something that, you know, works really well on the algorithm.
These guys are based in Victoria, so anybody looking for Victorian stuff. Ooh.
Are we watching an illegal act here?
Yeah, absolutely. The TTA says that you're not allowed to do this. She links to a peptide seller in the post. So you can go to their link tree and this is the store that you buy it from. And here are some of your most popular peptides.
Oh my God, guys, Okay, so Big Pro comes with backwater.
They're not approved for human use. Most of them have a complete dearth of clinical trial data in humans. They call this grey market because you can see down here it says for research purposes only.
I'll bet that you never heard the word peptide until quite recently. And that's because the area has boomed. These are short chains of amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, that you usually inject into yourself. And some claim that they can rejuvenate you and make you more youthful. And many people are getting them on a mail order. The question is, if you do, are they safe? That's what Dr. Tim Pionkowski here at the University of Queensland has been looking at.
We don't really know what the human side effects are. And so there's just people experimenting and waiting for something to happen.
What evidence have we got that the use actually is going up in Australia?
One of the best indicators, I think, is sterile equipment provision. So we know that there are needles and syringe programs, particularly on the Gold Coast, that have seen a 600% increase.
600%?
600% increase.
Just give me some of the lingo here that people use, the stack concept.
People don't normally just use one peptide. They will use a number of peptides together. So you have, for example, the Wolverine stack. The Glow stack is a combination of 3 peptides.
What do these two stacks, the Wolverine stack and the Glow stack, promise?
So Wolverine stack promises you to recover and heal as fast as Wolverine, I suppose. And the Glow stack is for you to glow, for you to be beautiful and youthful.
In Australia, it's thought that most people buy their peptides online via the black market. Four Corners had 3 such samples sent to a Melbourne testing lab. Grace Hammond is an analytical chemist at the lab.
For the GHK copper, which was meant to have 100 milligrams of the peptide, we found that it had 47.73 milligrams. So that's only approximately 40% of what it was supposed to have in there. The BPC157 was supposed to have 10 milligrams dose. It was found to have 7.93, so that's closer. It's about 80% of what was supposed to be there. But the most shocking one is that the TB500 10 milligrams didn't have any TB500 in it.
You are joking?
Nope.
Which is quite dramatic. When you look at your experience of testing peptides over the last few months or years, just give me a sense of what you found.
Most of the time the compound is present. It's never consistent and usually doesn't match what the market label says.
But you have found heavy metals?
Yes, specifically in the GHK copper sample, we found 7% of free copper, so that's more than should be there than the amount bound to the peptide.
And what's that copper usually used for?
Usually copper like this is used as an algicide, so to clean algae off bathtubs or concrete pavements.
This excess copper is potentially toxic. Why would it be there?
Generally, it's there as a marketing gimmick. It's there to make the peptide or the vial appear blue. When we have ordered a certified high purity standard of this GHK copper, it's white, it's not blue. So the 7% copper that's in there is there to make it appear blue, and essentially it's a marketing or a packaging gimmick.
A dangerous one?
Very.
Were any of your friends taking peptides?
God, no. My friends are mostly scientists.
You might feel safer if your peptides are prescribed through medical clinics, either face-to-face or via telehealth. That doesn't mean, though, that it's necessarily safe or that the doctor is following the rules. Our researcher, Rachel Carbonell, set out to test how the system works.
Hi, Rachel. How are you going? Tell me exactly what is our problem? What is the intention?
I just sort of feel generally like I'm interested in sort of some anti-aging healthcare, I guess, because I'm 51 and I'm feeling it really.
You're aiming to, I guess, reduce the signs of fatigue, low energy, muscle cramping, struggling to recover from your exercise, reduce strength.
I chatted to Rachel after her consultation.
Well, I had to jump through a few hoops first. I did a blood test, I had to provide a health summary. The blood test essentially gave me a clean bill of health. So the doctor made it very clear to me that I should have tried everything else that I can for these ailments that I'm going to get peptides for.
But nonetheless, you got the prescription.
I did. I had to sign a document giving my consent to potentially being prescribed unapproved goods. And I have here my treatment proposal. It doesn't have a doctor's signature on it.
So what did they prescribe for you?
They prescribed 4 different peptides. One was in a combination, which is CJC 1295 and ipamorelin. And then there was BPC 157.
Which is the healing one, supposedly.
Yes, and then the other one was GHKCU. I mean, the doctor was fairly clear that there's not a lot of evidence.
How much are they charging for that?
If you want to get the pen, the grand total for 4 to 6 weeks supply is $1,181.97.
Not cheap.
It's pretty expensive for, you know, what's essentially going to last you a month or so.
We asked the clinic to explain the evidence for the 4 peptides offered to Rachel and how its service complied with the prescribing and advertising rules. It said it did not consider it appropriate to debate or promote the evidence base for particular compounds and relied on the clinical judgment of the practitioner, claiming they operate within the rules. It denied that its online peptide therapy consultation was advertising unapproved goods. But after our questions, the clinic removed the service from its website and subsequently renamed it. We asked an endocrinologist, Professor Catherine Samaras, to review the treatment plan.
I have seen Rachel Carbonell's report, and to me it reads like a legal document that has been written to protect the company. Some of the peptides being prescribed mediate the growth hormone part. It'll have the muscle boosting, muscle building effects, but it will promote fluid retention, it will promote osteoarthritis, inflammation, deranged glucose metabolism, and increased diabetes risk if she's a susceptible person. And the big question for me is cancer. We know that they act on cancer pathways.
Professor Samaras has seen many patients who are taking unapproved products.
People are vulnerable, they're trying to do the right thing by their health, and they think that there is something more that they can add to it, but they have been utterly misled.
In order to protect you and me, the public, there are 2 main regulators: the Australian Health Practitioners Regulation Agency, APRA, and the Therapeutic Goods Administration, the TGA, which regulates drugs, supplements, and medical devices. These longevity businesses are operating in a regulatory twilight zone with questionable practices and doctors prescribing unapproved products with little idea about safety and effectiveness.
My view is that the risks doctors working in these clinics is huge.
The TGA's Chief Medical Advisor is Professor Robin Langham. A cash observation of this is that it's the Wild West out there. You've got social influencers by the hundreds of thousands. You've got at least 100 operators out there and lots of substances that we don't know anything about and some of which are causing harm. What's the TGA doing about this?
Well, the TGA is really working extremely hard to disrupt illegal advertising and also the illegal importation and supply of these unapproved peptides and other products that are leading to safety issues.
We can try and disrupt that, but you've got doctors all over the place prescribing these things.
They are regulated by a different regulator, which is APRA.
Rachel Carbonell, our research editor, went to one of these telehealth clinics. A doctor interviewed her and she gets a prescription for peptides. Now, did that doctor break the law?
There's allowances within our law for clinicians to be able to make their own decisions backed up by robust understanding of the evidence and the safety to prescribe unapproved products to their patients.
But there's no evidence on efficacy or safety.
We don't regulate clinicians. That job is for AHPRA.
This throwing off to AHPRA suggests that there's this big gap between the regulators here through which the industry is driving a large truck.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think what we can say is that the regulation is quite complex.
AHPRA declined an interview with Four Corners and said in a statement that it is concerned that some practitioners may be seeking to exploit the latest health trends by putting profits ahead of patients. AHPRA acknowledged that clinicians don't always need separate TGA approval to prescribe unapproved products, but doctors must ensure that treatments are appropriate and that patients understand the additional risks involved. The longevity market for consumers appears to be racing ahead of the evidence, but that doesn't mean that anti-aging science is fantasy. Away from the clinics, biohackers, and online markets, researchers are pursuing very different goals. San Francisco and the Bay Area are the epicenter of the anti-aging longevity startup industry. If a major breakthrough in reversing aging is going to happen, it's likely to come from here. In the home of some of the world's largest companies, there are fledglings who hope to become the Googles of tomorrow. This isn't biohacking. It's a serious enterprise. We've come to San Francisco's Castro district to speak to Carl Flager, an anti-aging investor and a respected industry analyst.
San Francisco is in many ways ground zero for aging and longevity. When I originally looked at the 120 first biotech companies in the sector, it was very clear that there were more located and based in the San Francisco Bay Area than any other major metropolitan area in the world, by a factor of 2. And that's maintained and still true now that it's 400 or 500 companies in the space. The field has probably raised on the order of about 10, maybe 12 billion over the past 10 to 15 years. I think for sure, it will be gigantic compared to some of the previous tech revolutions. What's special about aging and longevity biotech is that the geroscience hypothesis means that if it works, it's not only going to mitigate one age-related disease, but it's going to mitigate multiple age-related diseases.
It's easy to assume that the river of gold from anti-aging research is going to be a drug that will make you young again. But the money is actually going to be made from medications that will radically change the treatment of specific and hard-to-treat diseases.
If you succeed, because you're going to mitigate all these other diseases, you get multiple pots of gold. So the upside is higher. It should be more lucrative in the end. And that comes essentially from the efficiency of trying to intervene in targets that underlie multiple different pathologies, all of which have big markets.
Joe Betts-Lacroix is a tech entrepreneur and biophysicist who wants to increase the human health span, the years of healthy life, by 10 years, either by slowing aging or reversing it.
I'm very specifically focused on how to apply our new especially academic understanding of how aging works to finding new therapeutics that we can make medicines out of.
Retro Biosciences is typical of the biotech startups here, backed by wealthy investors prepared to make enormous bets on anti-aging startups. In Retro's case, the company is valued at $1.8 billion without having sold a single pill.
Startups, if they hit something that seems to be working and there's a clear market, they can grow exponentially. And that's what it takes to really reach millions and hopefully someday billions of people.
Betz-LaCroix is trying to speed up the traditional medical research process by eliminating time-consuming barriers.
I just have a bit of a vendetta against bureaucracy and slowing things down.
Rather than building expensive labs, Joe Betz-LaCroix has put them inside converted shipping containers. One promising technology RetroBio has developed is to rejuvenate the body's ability to recycle the garbage that collects within cells as we age. The process is called autophagy, and in fact, they're already doing a first-in-human safety trial of an Alzheimer's drug. The thing that slows medical research, though, is biology. Cells take time to divide. Animals take time to breed. That's your rate-limiting step, but you're trying to get rid of everything else around it. If you've got the sort of tech bro thing of moving fast and breaking things, failing fast, learning from the failing fast, does that create a regulatory problem down the track when you've got something that you think is useful?
We have a strict divide between, in biotech terms, discovery and development. So discovery is the Wild West. The scientists are allowed to go as fast as they want, and they're encouraged to go as fast as they can. Once it becomes humans in a clinic, then we don't cut any corners.
From the shipping containers of the Bay Area to another powerhouse of longevity research, Boston. This is Harvard Medical School, one of the world's leading medical research institutions. One of the professors of genetics here is David Sinclair, an expatriate Australian who spent his career studying what happens with aging itself. It's fair to say that he's a controversial figure in the research community.
Thank goodness I come from Harvard Medical School, or what I'm going to tell you tonight, you would find extremely difficult to believe is true.
One of the reasons David Sinclair has attracted controversy is from statements some fellow scientists have felt went beyond the science or actual findings of studies.
Is it all right if I mention the product?
Yes.
It's called Leap Years. There's so many people online getting excited about the product because they see their old dogs getting rejuvenated.
He also became famous for his anti-aging claims about a substance called resveratrol found in red wine.
We had a paper in 2003 in Nature, and the sales of red wine for that month went up by 30%.
The company that Professor Sinclair co-founded, which had the rights to a formulation of resveratrol, was sold to pharmaceutical giant GlaxoSmithKline for $720 million US. GSK shuttered the program 2 years later, citing concerns about side effects and effectiveness.
Resveratrol got caught up in a massive political campaign. One of the largest pharmaceuticals in the world tried to invalidate the patent that we had. You know, the media talks about the bad news, but very rarely compensates with the good news. Resveratrol does activate SIRT1, which is a longevity enzyme, and so I continue to take it.
Even so, David Sinclair's research is still taken seriously, particularly by observers of the longevity industry. They're closely watching the latest venture at Life Biosciences, a company which he co-founded with an Australian partner.
We believe we can treat every tissue, eventually do a whole body reset of the body to be able to be young again, and it takes about 6 weeks.
Life Biosciences just started their phase 1 trial for a method to rejuvenate nerve damage to the eye. And they had a paper where they could show a crushed nerve in the eye in mice could be completely regenerated.
These experiments use the hottest area of anti-aging research at the moment. It's called partial epigenetic reprogramming. It rewinds a cell's biological age. Sinclair's study is the first time this technology has been used in humans. It aims to reverse vision loss due to glaucoma or arterial damage to the optic nerve at the back of the eye. But it's not without risk.
We chose the eye not because we thought it would work better than anywhere else, but because it's an enclosed space, so it's theoretically safer to begin with.
So you've tried it in one person?
At least one person, yeah.
Building strong muscles is associated with slowing the effects of aging. But the promise of what's called geroscience is to find drugs which will go beyond what lifestyle can offer, to slow or reverse aging in the hope of banishing disease. There have been very few studies in humans showing reversal of aging rather than slowing of aging. And one of the few took place here in California. It targeted the thymus gland in the chest, which is involved in the development of the immune system. The study was small and controversial, but we're going to find out more. While David Sinclair is trying to reprogram cells, Greg Fay thinks the key is regrowing an organ that shrivels up in adults. Dr. Fay believes the secret to reversing aging is in restoring the immune system to its youthful state.
We think that being able to regrow the thymus in older people, or even to prevent it from involuting in the first place, could revolutionize the future of medicine and the future of aging.
The thymus is an immune organ that's located just below your breastplate, above your heart. The thymus is essential for making a specialized immune cell called a T cell. And T cells are critical for responding and fighting infections, particularly viral infections. We're also learning they're important for preventing cancer. An odd thing about the thymus, despite its importance for the immune system, it's one of the first organs in the body to degenerate and shrink with age.
Greg Fay ran a very small human trial attempting to rejuvenate the thymus gland using growth hormone and 2 other drugs.
We were able to show with the MRI imaging technique that the thymus did recover.
You've gone to a larger study now.
Yes. So the biggest news is that we were able to reproduce the original trial results. We saw improvements in strength equivalent to reversal of up to 10 years of aging. We saw improvements in lung function.
It could be that your cocktail is a magic cocktail for reversing aging, nothing to do with the thymus.
We think it's really both.
It's a long and difficult road from the lab to having safe interventions that work in humans. Professor Daniel Gray studies thymus regeneration at the Walter and Eliza Hall Institute in Melbourne, not to reverse aging, but to help people recover from a bone marrow transplant.
Those with high thymic health have better health outcomes for a range of diseases, particularly in terms of resisting cancer, but also responding to cancer therapies. But whether the thymus function is the thing that's causing those effects remains to be determined. One of the issues for the field is finding growth factors that could specifically stimulate thymus function.
Rejuvenation might sound easy until you see the challenge in taking an old thymus and making it young again.
What you're looking at here are the 3-dimensional structures of 2 thymic tissue. On the left is taken from a young animal, and on the right is taken from an old animal. So this degeneration process has started.
Huge difference.
There's a big difference.
Well, it looks like a hell of a job to go from those lumpy bits back to this nice, smooth structure.
Well, that's part of the challenge of trying to find ways of targeting thymic regeneration to restore not only thymus size, but also restore the structure. One of the risks in thymus regeneration in adults might be that its ability to educate the T cells that are coming out is compromised, and that might lead to autoimmune conditions.
Another potential risk is cancer from the growth factors being turned on in Greg Faye's treatment.
So there are really a couple of issues related to cancer. One is, would our treatment increase the risk of cancer? So far, we don't think so. And the second one is, if you have pre-existing cancer and you go on our treatment, will that increase the growth rate of the cancer? The answer to that is probably yes. So we're very careful to try to avoid bringing people into our trials that have cancer.
While some researchers are looking for the key to unlock longevity in humans, others are developing ways to prove whether these experiments are working in the first place. It's a critical part of the process, and they're doing it by measuring the biological age of cells. 2 weeks ago, I sent off a blood sample for a test which estimates how quickly my body is aging. It's called the Dunedin pace and was partly developed here at Columbia University in New York. Dan Belsky is one of the lead researchers.
So Dunedin pace it functions, again, like a speedometer. And so the value that is kind of normal is set to 1 year of biological change per 12-month calendar interval. As it turns out, the rate of human aging accelerates as we grow older. So people who are older than 45 tend to have aging rates a little bit above 1, and people who are younger than 45 tend to have aging rates a little bit below 1. It looks like it's
speed up to the brick wall at the bottom of the street.
That's unfortunately the case.
Okay, with trepidation, what does mine show?
So yours actually looks great. Your value of 0.93 says that you are aging more slowly, 7 percentage points more slowly, than the average 45-year-old in the Dunedin study. The older you are, the more exceptional that number
So the
becomes.
gap becomes bigger.
That's right.
The findings from anti-aging research have to be believable. So how do you know an intervention is working without having to wait till the people in the study die?
We need measurements that we can take at the beginning of a trial and again after 3, 6, 12 months of intervention to tell us whether whatever we're doing is moving our biology in the direction that would be consistent with slowing aging and extending healthy lifespan.
There are several so-called epigenetic clocks. Some estimate your biological age, some how fast you're aging, and some can suggest whether people like you tend to live shorter or longer lives.
But even those clocks won't necessarily agree with one another.
But really, is there anything better than just your GP doing your blood pressure, your cholesterol levels, and and maybe your kidney function?
There are two ways of answering your question. One of the questions is, are the labs your doctor is doing today enough? And another question is the interpretation they're making of those labs sufficient? And I would argue that the answer to the first question is maybe, and the answer to the second question is no.
The no is it's not sophisticated enough.
That's right. That we can do a lot more with the information we're already collecting. We can get a lot farther toward prevention than we're able to with the current framework.
Despite these uncertainties, experimental treatments are already being sold directly to consumers. One of the most popular longevity treatments is an NAD+ infusion. NAD+ helps cells make energy, and clinics market it as an anti-aging boost. But the evidence that it slows aging in people is slim.
I think the NAD boosters are a complete waste of money. You can optimise your mitochondrial function, which is one of the effects they're proposed to have, by cutting back on what you're eating, by not drinking too much alcohol.
There are no data in humans. There are interesting data in animals, but I haven't seen any randomized clinical trial proving that there is an improvement in any disease or even safety data.
When you look at some of the things that are going on in the biohacking or in the longevity clinics and so on, A lot of it seems to me to be based on your past research and others, looking at aging pathways. Does that bother you that you've got healthy people coming in for NAD infusions?
Well, what bothers me is that people put my name and face and research on the bottle and make a lot of money out of it.
Some of my patients, they take 30, 40 supplements a day because someone told them, this is doing this, this is doing that. But where is the data?
At the University of Sydney, Professor Luigi Fontana is an authority on the metabolic and aging impact of nutrition and exercise.
When I look at the literature, there are no data on safety and there are no data on effectiveness for most of these molecules.
Luigi Fontana, like the anti-aging researchers in the US, wants to prevent disease across the spectrum.
And the principle basically is primarily a pescatarian diet, so a plant-based.
But he argues that we know what works already.
Calorie restriction with optimal nutrition can prevent multiple chronic disease, cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, less neurodegeneration, less sarcopenia, less frailty, and so therefore increasing your probability of living a long and healthy life.
Superb, Mark. Thank you. An exercise program, including muscle strengthening, is also part of the prescription. So it's both food and physical activity.
They are controlling the fundamental mechanism of keeping cells young and functional.
So they're doing the job that these longevity companies are trying to do with their drugs?
Yes.
So where do you want them? Where would you like it? One over there?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a worm.
The Darmos family in Melbourne hail from the Peloponnese in Greece. They walk the talk when it comes to a diet that's high in the kinds of nutrients which can slow the aging process.
And every spring, I leave one of these to grow up tall, and I collect the seeds again for the next season.
The distance from garden to plate is short. We're looking forward to this lunch with great anticipation. What's on the menu?
Lentil soup, because it's winter. Spanakopita.
Oh, my favorite.
Zucchini fritters, olives.
There's a powerful combination between garlic and onions and tomatoes cooked in olive oil, which seems to bring out, their beneficial protective factors.
That contains compounds that you can't buy in the supplement shop. Dr. Tanya Thodas is a research dietitian who has studied how culture and healthy nutrition come together.
We try to avoid meat on a Wednesday and Friday, and during Lent.
It doesn't have to be religious fasting, but it can be abstaining from meat a couple of times a week and replacing that with a plant-based way of eating.
And taking that time to slow down and not only appreciate the food, but who you're with as well. That is a big part of what I appreciate from the culture.
After months of testing claims and speaking to researchers, there was one final promise left to examine.
Yes, we do.
When I started my longevity journey, I promised that I'd put my body on the line for you. Well, in my case, it was with an Australian longevity startup. I got my blood tests back, and the company was pretty good at talking me through the results, some of which could have scared a layperson. Now, this is my social influencer unboxing thing, so please share if you like it. Their naturopath has given me an individually tailored prescription of mostly minerals and vitamins. Each pellet has been compounded in Queensland. They're mostly harmless apart from vitamin B6, which can damage your nerves. And I'm supposed to take one of these pods every day. Now, I don't think you're going to fall out of your armchair if I tell you that none of this is going to pass my lips. There's only so much that this intrepid reporter will do.